Afternoon. Thanks for everybody being on today. Great program win on Saturday versus a Baylor program that have a lot of respect for. A lot of respect for that staff, the turnaround they've had. That's a tough physical program, not just a team, but a tough physical program. And I thought we showed real toughness, real physicality, probably the most toughness, most physicality we've shown in the 2 years I've been here. And it wasn't pretty, but we found ways to win the game, and that's the important thing. We found ways to win. Quick recap, talk special teams first, hit the negatives, and then we'll hit positives in all three phases. Negatives, we didn't punt the ball well enough on Saturday. I thought our coverage was okay on the punt team, but we just didn't hit very good punts. Really disappointed in our punt return team. We had two opportunities. We went to block. We were close, but we just didn't use very good technique. We had obviously the play that's made its way around on ESPN and things where the turnover that set up the last score. But we've got to be better. We've got to give Sinkfield, the returner, an opportunity to get started. We just didn't do that. That's going to be a point of emphasis this week is we got to be better on our punt return unit. And we had I thought two opportunities to have big plays on kickoff return that we didn't. We're blocking, flipping to the positives, kickoff return, we were blocking really, really well in that unit. Our kickoff cover team is really running down. We've got to do a better job with our kickoffs, but I thought we were covering kicks with a mentality that I like. And I think there's two things that really, I think your kickoff team really sets the tone. And then from a mentality standpoint, I think your field goal block tells a lot of the story about who you are. And our field goal block team was special on Saturday. Blocked a kick. There's two other kicks that were missed that we had a lot of pressure on. Almost blocked the game tying PAT there at the end of regulation. So did some really good things in that unit. Flipping over to defense. I already talked about it. I thought the effort and the physicality with our defensive unit was special. That's something that we need to continue. There's no reason why we can't play with that same effort and physicality week in and week out. And credit to our defense coaches. Really good game plan, but our kids went out and really played hard and physical. Really the only negative we had was the end of game drive. Couple miscues there. Didn't fit on a couple of our games. We were playing up front, and some miscommunication on the touchdown there. The positives, I think sudden change, which is something we work a lot. I thought our sudden changes, I think with all the turnovers, only giving up 7 points. 3 turnovers in the first half, and then the one on the punt return unit there, and that's the only one we give up a touchdown on. And so that was big. That's something we've spent a lot of time practicing on. We've had a lot of focus on red zone defense. We were special in the red zone. We spent a lot of time on a rushing defense. We knew we needed to get better, holding them to 27 yards, and then creating takeaways. Those were the takeaways and then negative plays. And negative plays is kind of what our defense is built on, TFLs and sacks and high numbers in those categories. Offensively, the negatives first, turnovers in the first half, and 2 of them, the fumble where we got pressure, we got to hold on to the ball, and then the interception, the one that the linebacker had, that's a great play. You're going to have that. Hey, checkmate, they got us. He made a special play, but the one we floated over the middle of the field can't happen, and flipped the field entirely with that throw, and we got to be better than that. We just lacked explosive plays. Our passing game's got to be way better than what it is, and then we made a lot of little mistakes that killed drives, and they don't always show up, but we got behind the chain some, and those are some things just we got to be better. The positives are 0 turnovers in the second half. Didn't think we lost the game in the second half. Thought we responded and ran the football effectively. Thought we were creative in how we got to that. And then the response in the 2 overtimes, scoring touchdowns in both those overtimes and winning the game after it didn't go, being able to respond with some adversity with a young outfit on offense. I think that showed some growth. So let's kind of wrap up, talk about these awards. First of all, obviously Darius received a couple national awards, and he was a Big 12 co-defensive player of the week, and so proud of him. Talked about it after the game. He's had his 2 best weeks of preparation that he's had since I've been here, and our staff has been here, and I think there's a direct correlation in that. His prep and his practice habits were much improved, and so congratulations to him. And then Tony Fields also, I saw where he was National Award with the Senior Bowl. He's been an excellent addition defensively. So I want to talk about those guys. Since they received some national award recognition, we went in a different direction on some of our in-house stuff. Start with their offensive line. Our offensive line, lineman of the week, he graded out the highest. Mike Brown also graded high, but this lineman that I'm talking about graded out the highest. He had to play 3 different positions in the week leading into the game. And senior really kind of risen and is the leader within that room. And so Chase Barrett is our offensive lineman of the week. Our special teams player of the week, and this is, I wish it worked out like this all the time. We vote on a special teams captain. It's player voted, and this kid was voted the special teams captain. Then he went out and had 3 tackles. Was great in our coverage units on punt and on kickoff. Had multiple tackles on special teams alone. And so Exery Lowe is our special teams player of the week, and well-deserved, and proud of him. Been a really solid player for on defense, but this is his 3rd year now where he's really been an excellent special teams player. Our defense player of the week, I already talked about Darius and Tony, and those guys played extremely well. But this guy had over, I think, 9 tackles, a couple TFLs, and played his best game that he's played here, and that's in the box and out of the box, and that was Josh Chandler. And there was some other guys in that mix. Obviously, Taki has played special all season. Dre Shine has had a couple turnovers, and so, but Chandler is our defense player of the week, offense player of the week, and for the third straight game has really. Has shown what kind of player he is and how he's improved. Letty goes for, he gained 100 yards rushing. He had a few negative yards, but then adds another 30 or 40 in the pass game. And so Letty Brown's our offensive player of the week. Our blue collar award goes to somebody that did show up in the stat sheet, but has made a difference in our run game. Played well 2 weeks in a row. Had a couple critical catches, 2 in overtime, 1 on a 4th and 1. So our blue collar award winner this week is Mike O'Laughlin. The other guy who was in the mix for that was Akeem Messidor. He played with his effort was off the charts. But Mike O'Laughlin is award winner. Scout team players of the week. Again, those are awards that are critical. The special team scout team player of the week goes to DeVell Washington, a guy that's really improved since he's been here, and excited about his future. Defensively was Scotty Young. And Scotty is sitting out with the transfer, and he's really growing into a leader over there with those young guys. He's in our developmental squad, or developmental lifting group, and then offensively was a backup quarterback, Matt Cavallaro, and he and Trent Jackson week in week out do a great job leading that offense scout team. And then our Juice Award, we give it to 4 freshmen. I thought these guys were dynamic, and that Juice. The sideline energy is really important when you don't have fans, and I thought a group of 4 freshmen, Eddie Watkins, Sam Brown, Jordan White, and Charles Finley were really good and into the game. And so those are our award winners for this week. And just a quick wrap up, again, big win. Heading into a bye week this week, we got to be smart. It's a different type of bye week than we had during the first one. First one we stayed in camp mode. This one will be we've got to work on things we got to get better at. We'll work Kansas toward the end of the week, but we also we've got to get refreshed and get our legs back. And so with that, I'll take questions.
First question today is from Greg Hunter.
So, Coach, give me a little bit more on Chase Barrett, your thoughts of how he's playing in this year, and just your offensive line. You've juggled some people, but your assessment of that.
Yeah, so we were going into the game with a different look. We had to switch that about 11 o'clock on Friday. 11:30 on Friday morning. And so Chase actually didn't practice any at center last week, and thought he went out and played well. He's played well against Oklahoma State and against Baylor. He's playing better pad level. He's strong. He's doing a really good job with his communication. And so really as improved as anybody that we have on our team. And he's done a great job as leadership. And, he's a captain for the game, and that's chosen by the staff. And so trust there. And then, I thought Zach Frazier, true freshman, making a second start, this time at left guard, which he hadn't practiced a ton. Played at left guard some against Oklahoma State, but got most of his reps in practice at guard or at center. He made some mistakes, but he's physical. He's really good in the run game. There was a couple things, switching off twists, recognizing blitz where it worked against him because he didn't have the practice reps. But I thought he did a really nice job. Brandon Yates played his best game. It was really physical. Kind of excited about what he's done. And then Mike Brown continues to play well. He played at a high level. Again, that's 3 games in a row, and he's definitely getting better. And creating movement in the run game. Right tackle played John Hughes and Bryson Mays, and we were better than we were the week prior. There's still some improvement that needs to be made there, but we were definitely better. So that's kind of a quick kind of rundown of O-line.
Coach, I have a question submitted to us from Bob Herzl, kind of a two-parter
Okay.
with Darius. Can you kind of go into a little bit of all the different attributes he kind of possesses in himself, and also with the brothers dynamic? Are you still kind of seeing them two push each other and help each other out?
Yeah, so the first with Darius is Darius' best attribute is his quickness. And he does a really good job with his hands, but he's quick. He's got a really good feel for the movements that we run. Knows when to hit it front side, when to kind of hit it on the back side. He makes plays. When he's in a playmaking when he's in a position to make plays, he makes those plays. That's not, and that sounds simple. It sounds like I'm making it elementary, but a lot of D linemen get back there and they don't make the play. He gets back in the backfield, whether it's a TFL on a run play or getting the quarterback down, and does a good job of doing that. As far as that dynamic is, I think they're good for one another and they're bad for one another at some points. And I think that's, what I do think is there's really good competition within them. Now, they're best friends. They live together. They do everything together. And so there's no negativity but I think they do push each other. And, Darius has really stepped up the last couple of weeks from a work ethic standpoint. You see Dante starting to do that same thing. But I'm glad that we got him on our team. I think that Darius is capable of playing at a high level all the time. I think Dante is. I think sometimes is people forget that this is really only second year that Dante's played an important role. And I've heard me say this before. If we were sitting here talking about Dante being a redshirt sophomore, the way people perceive him is going to be a whole lot different than the fact that he's a junior. And so I think that he's continuing to improve. That was the hardest Dante Steele has played in any game in his West Virginia career. And if he'll play with that effort and that energy, then he'll continue to make a bunch of plays and be productive.
Next question is from Michael Sussman.
Coach, after the game Saturday, you talked about this win as possibly being a turning point in regard to finding ways to win games instead of losing them. What do you guys need to do from a preparation and mentality standpoint to make that the reality?
Well, I think that we got to play with the same effort, the same physicality, the same mental toughness to be able to overcome adversity. That's something I don't think we've always done a really good job of. When something bad happened, I don't think we responded in a very good way versus Oklahoma State. So the only way that this is a turning point win is if we follow it up against Kansas and against Texas Tech and against, as we go down the schedule, we follow it up and continue to play with that effort, that physicality, that mental and physical toughness. Then I think we look back and say, hey, this is the one we got over the hump. But it doesn't matter if we don't continue that. So I think this is I hope we identify ourselves now, with that gritty mindset that I talked about after the game. That's the hope, If we don't continue to do it this week and next week and moving on, then that's not going to be the case. But that's the hope is we're able to. I think the mental toughness and a quick answer, that's probably the piece that is going to make the most difference.
Okay, we'll go to Sean Manning.
Hey, Neal, Jaquay Hubbard announced that he received his waiver. Can you confirm that, and how do you see him fitting in moving forward?
Yeah, he has. He has received his waiver. Today will be the first day he's been at practice in 2 weeks. He had a family member that was really ill, so he went home to spend time with that family member, and that was an excused absence. We told him to go. So he had to quarantine, and so today will be his first day back.
Next question is from Keenan Cummings. Go ahead, Keenan.
He's still muted.
Still muted, Keenan.
Hey, Neal, how you doing? Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
With recruiting, you mentioned last week, about filling the class. What's the plan for this week, and about how many spots do you have left? And secondly, after that, any other waiver decisions yet, or still waiting on others?
Now we've received them all. Dobson received a waiver, and then Bryce Brand will be eligible starting the Texas Tech game. Okay. So that's where I think that's all of them. Scotty Young will sit out this year as a transfer. So I think that's all of them. Recruiting, a lot of time spent on recruiting this week. We need to finish up the 21 class. We borrowed a couple with a couple transfers, so we don't have full 25. I'm going off the top of my head here. Probably 5 or 6 is kind of what our open spots for this class. And if I'm off by 1 or so, I apologize because I don't have that right in front of me. But I think 5 or 6 open spots. And then we're going to really a lot of virtual visits, things like that this week with 22. We've been really active with a lot of 22 guys.
Next question is from Kevin Kinder.
Coach, following up on X-ray low, last year he showed aptitude for making plays on special teams, obviously continuing that this year. What are his specific abilities, talents that you feel like make him good covering kicks?
Well, he's playing better on defense this year too. That's the difference, Kevin. Is he's playing more snaps on defense and he's playing better defensively. The best thing, X-ray's best piece of his game is his speed. He really runs well. He's a decorated receiver in high school, and he's consistently with our GPS numbers. He is one of the fastest guys at all. In the back, linebacker, second and third levels. He really runs well. He's hungry. Does a good job getting to the football. Stays on his feet because he's a good athlete. And he understands leverage, ball leverage. I think all those things work to him being a really good special teams player.
Okay, Ryan Pritt, we'll go to you.
Hey, Neal. I think yesterday you said obviously offense is going to be a point of emphasis this week. I know yesterday you said it has to get better. I would have to imagine some of that starting with pass protection up front. And, if you look at last year, you guys were actually pretty good in pass protection and struggled to run the ball. This year it's kind of a flip-flop. I was wondering, when you look at film this year compared to last year, what are the differences that you're seeing? I know you have a few new guys up there, but what do you really focus on this week to try to get that corrected?
Well, the biggest difference between a year ago is we had 2 fifth-year guys playing tackle. So a lot of experience on the edge, and that's where kind of we've been hurt a little bit in pass protection. That's the difference. I think anytime you're in, there's some things that. It's always a mix, all right? We mis-ID'd a couple things on Saturday in the Baylor game. Missed a corner blitz on 3rd and 4 that should have been we should have worked out to. Something we practiced a lot. Quarterback held on to it too long a couple times. We missed a couple where they edge blitzed and we're in empty protection. We got to sift down. We let a guy run free in A gaps that shouldn't happen. And so it's a combination of things. It's and really in that game on Saturday, the sack fumble there on the second drive is they got us on a defensive scheme. The ball should have been out. Ball should have been thrown to his first progression, which we had that protected enough to do that. I guess it would have been the third possession. We had 3rd and 4 around midfield. Probably if we get a positive play, we're going to go for it on 4th down. We get corner blitz to his right, to his blind side. We should have picked it up. That was just a missed assignment. And then we had a couple, without getting into it, we just practiced guys at a different spot. We had to move them on Friday. All right, we were gonna look a little different as far as where we lined guys up, and that's how they practiced. And so some of the, where in the first half we had a couple quarterback hits, not necessarily sacks, we had a couple quarterback hits, where some twist game stuff where those guys just hadn't worked together. All right, and that's on us. That's not. And when you're dealing with what we had to deal with on Friday, that's going to happen some. But I didn't think that we had a whole bunch of protection issues. We had a lot of issues in the pass game. We didn't throw it very good. We didn't, but the protection was an issue versus Oklahoma State, not against Baylor.
Go ahead, John Antonic.
Coach, explosive plays. I know you've talked about it during camp. I think you've had one, really, Winston's this year. Can you create him as a coach? Can you scheme?
Well, that's not. Yeah. First of all, that's not correct, John. Go back and look at Eastern Kentucky, and we had a bunch of them. All right.
Well, I'm talking about 50-yard plus plays.
Well, hell, there ain't a whole lot of people having those. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. But yeah, we only have 50. 150. Now we got to do it. Where you're correct is we got to throw the ball down the field better. 100%, absolutely. I think we had some opportunities against Oklahoma State, and I think we hit on one of them, and so we got to do a better job. I didn't do a good enough job in this Baylor game. I didn't do a good enough job at all of getting them called, and so I've got to do a better job of getting them called. That's on me. We probably had less than 3 opportunities against Baylor, and that's really that's myself as the play caller. That's on me. I've got to do a better job getting them called. The second half, once I felt kind of how it was going, I didn't want to put us in that position. But moving forward, we're going to have to win games. You're absolutely correct.
Next question is from Chris Anderson. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Coach. Just a minute ago, you were talking about Chase Barrett, and you mentioned that on Friday morning, 11:30, when you had to make the adjustments, but that prior to that, Chase had not taken snaps at center all week.
We were working him, yeah, he was working some guard and some tackle, and but we're not going to do that moving forward. We're going to get him locked in where he'll be an interior player only.
Next question is from Mike Kazaza. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Neal, how's it going?
Good, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. Last week you mentioned kind of getting comfortable with Tony and what he likes to see and work with in front of him. He bounced around an awful lot, and I don't even think he played any special teams. He was all defense and maybe more than normal, but it also looked like he was playing like darn near bandit sometimes too. So kind of evolving what you're doing with him.
So he plays on our kickoff team. That's the only special team. He plays on field goal block. It's just a defense snap. Then he's on our kickoff team. And we moved him around. He's playing Mike in our scheme. In our scheme, Mike lines up a bunch of different positions. And I don't know who asked the question. It might have been you last week. Is we're trying to, I think it's a work in progress. I think we tried to do some things with him on Saturday that maybe aren't his strength, and we found that out. But he's played extremely well. He's probably better at depth. He's a really good blitzer. But we put him on the line of scrimmage on Saturday. I'm not sure we'll do that as much moving forward. But when he knows where to go and he's confident, He's special. Like, I thought it was a great exhibition of linebacker play on Saturday between him. I thought Chandler played really well, and the Bernard kid for them he's a guy too.
We'll take these last 5 here in the queue, and starting with Greg Hunter. Go ahead, Greg.
Coach, you mentioned a couple of true freshmen. Just give me a little bit of a look at the guys maybe we aren't seeing that you're seeing in practice. What you think of this class so far?
Well, I think it's to be determined, Greg. I really do. This is it's tough. The downside for this class is they didn't go through a normal process. Normally, you come in June, you got 8 weeks where you get a feel. You spend a lot of time together as a freshman class. You create great chemistry. You understand. You learn about the culture of the program. You understand about the rules. You understand about how the workouts work. You get the base of the offense or the defense or special teams. You get that taught to you. You spend time with the older guys in the player-led practices, and you kind of learn from them. And by the time fall camp rolls around, you understand what the expectations are. So this group never had that because they were in and out, quarantined, isolated. Then we get into fall camp, we're in split groups. And so the discipline and structure and just knowing what to do and knowing what the expectation level, it's really been, and I'm sure it's the same way across college football, but I feel for them because they haven't gone through the what a normal kind of progression would be. And so now we're in season, and it's been, a month, give or take, where it's really been, kind of the routine's been established. And it's hard, because the thing that's hard about it is the competition level in practice. You're playing against people that have been in off-season programs 3 and 4 years. You're 17, 18-year-olds playing against 22, 23-year-old. So significant difference, a lot of body changes in strength and size and speed and those things. And then there's demands. You throw in academics. You throw in all those type of things, and it's hard. And so I think it's to be determined. Are there some guys that are showing up and playing really well on Saturday? Yes. Do I think there's some guys that maybe have shown some flashes that'll have bigger roles as they get as their body can take what's going on, and as they get more mature, and they get more ingrained in the systems and what the expectation level are? Yes. But I think it's too early to tell on a lot of them. Just because of some of the unfortunate circumstances they're having to go through.
Taylor Kennedy is next. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, this is a 2-part question. My first question is, what are some of the things that stick out the most about Akeem Mesidor's game through the first 3 games? And my second question is, how have you seen him mesh with the other defensive linemen?
So Mesidor has probably played as much as any other freshman in our program. He's explosive. He loves football. I mean, he doesn't like it. He loves football. He loves to compete. He loves to practice. He's hungry to learn. And so we played him more on the outside, on the edge this week. I think he feels more comfortable. That's where he's played in the past. So this was his best game against Baylor. And so I just like the way he competes and plays and prepares. What was the second piece of it?
How have you seen him mesh with the other defensive linemen?
Yeah, that's a good room. It's a good room. They feed off each other. Obviously, Darius and Dante have had a lot of success, and then you got Jeff's in the room, and we got some other younger guys in that room as well. But that's a room that really has good chemistry, and I think he's pushed because of the success that Darius and Dante have had.
Michael, back to you.
When a game goes to overtime like it did the other day, what do you tell yourself as a coach to stay in the mindset to execute? And as a follow-up, what's your message to your players in that same pressure situation?
Well, the message to the players are you practice the situation. You do it in fall camp. You do it when you have spring ball. You do it in spring ball. So it's not a unique. They understand the rules. They understand what's at stake. And I think as a coach, you just stay calm. You can't act different in the overtime than you did during the fourth quarter or the first quarter, for that matter. And so I think that's it. You always have a couple things that you want to carry that that if you get into an overtime game that you saved, and which we did. So I think Baylor obviously did too. They had 2 plays that they only ran 2 plays, kind of a unique deal for them. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But that's kind of the mindset of it.
Go ahead, Keenan.
Letty has obviously played well this year, Neal, but you mentioned Alec a lot, in preseason. How do you feel he's played, and where has he improved? Looks like he's keeping contact balance.
Man, that's a really good observation because he has. Like, he played well. That's one of the things when you go back and you always review. Like, I always ask myself this question. If I played this game tomorrow, after you watch the film, if I played the game tomorrow, what would I do? Well, one of those is get Sinkfield more touches. He did a really nice job. Really nice job. That's kind of the disappointing thing that we're not being able to get a punt return started because I'd like to see what he can do if we get him started. Now, their punter did a really nice job hanging the ball in the air. The one where we made the mistake on, I'm not sure I've played against anybody that had a hang time quite that long. But his contact balance, his ability to win one-on-ones in space, those have been the biggest differences for him.
And, Coach, our final question will come from Carly Nevis. Go ahead, Carly.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned Drayshawn Miller a bit, just how big game on Saturday, obviously. From what you saw last year, how hard did he work to, get back from his knee injury, and what's his potential going forward?
Yeah, he worked extremely hard. He didn't get to practice much at all last year. He practiced in fall camp and really kind of got back on the field just a little bit toward the end of the season, but no full-speed work. And so he made some big plays. He'll continue to get better. He made some mistakes that as he gets more experienced and trusts his own abilities more, he won't make those same mistakes. But big plays. He played with a ton of energy. That's the other thing too that I think really sticks out with Drayshawn is played with a lot of energy. He's really showed a lot of maturity over the last 5-6 months as well.
Okay, Coach. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.